Hello and welcome along. It's me, David, talking tech and audio. If you've already subscribed to the channel, that's great. And if you're new because of this video, it's lovely to welcome you along. And maybe if you're enjoying the video, you could turn on all notifications so you never miss another video, and also give me a like as well. You can find me in all sorts of places. I'm over on Twitter, @talkingtech, and there's all sorts of links down in the description about what I do and where you can find me. So I'll let you do that. There's podcasts, there's blogs. I'm kind of everywhere. A bit boring, really. Now, most of the videos on this channel so far have been about audio, but as the channel is called Tech and Audio, it gives me the perfect excuse to also talk about tech. And what I thought I might do is a weekly newsletter, a bit of an update of some of the best Apple news from the week. I do all the reporting and gathering information for you and deliver it here so you can catch up on all the best bits of the week. First of which this week is spatial audio. Now, when spatial audio was first announced by Apple, everyone was a little bit kind of like scratching their heads and what was it all going to be about? Well, as is often the way with Apple, wind it on just a few months and suddenly it's a raving success. They do have this way, don't they, over at Cupertino? And over 50% of Apple Music listeners are now listening in spatial audio. It was all revealed in an interview that Apple held with Billboard magazine this week. And it's not only Apple that are noticing a massive increase as well, it's artists too. Artists such as Taylor Swift, she has re-released a number of her albums in spatial audio, and she's gained, again, over 50% more listeners since her albums have been re-released in spatial audio. So it looks like it's going to be here to stay. And sticking on the theme of music in Apple Music, they have just spent a little bit of love, time and attention polishing up their version of Spotify's Wrapped. It's called Replay, and if you're not familiar with Spotify, once a year at the end of the year, you can go back and look at your listening habits and review the artist, playlist and so on that you've listened to most through that year. Well, now Apple are doing that, except you don't have to wait for just once a year. You can do it anytime by going into your iOS device, going to Listen Now, and you'll be able to find the replay function there. There are even more details if you want to go via Safari and look for replay online as well. And of course, it will drill down into your favorite artists, your favorite albums, your favorite playlists, and show you how long you spent listening, and just give you a good overview of the kind of music you've enjoyed listening. Personally, I kind of already know what I've enjoyed listening to, but Spotify Wrapped certainly is hugely successful for them. And so Apple thought they'd do something very similar, and now you know where it is. As I say, you can find more details if you go online via Safari, but it's on your iOS device as well, so you can keep a track of what you've been listening to on your music app. So some iPad news now. Well, when I say iPad news, more iPad mini, and it's really coming back to Jelly Scroll. Do you remember last year when the iPad mini came out? And there was this furore in the tech press at the time talking about Jelly Scroll. It's the phenomenon of when you scroll too quickly on the screen and it looks like it just bounces a little bit when it's in portrait mode. It's really not a big deal. I've looked at it on the iPad 6th gen, it's not a big deal, but some people are making a big deal out of it. In fact, it's become such a big deal that over in California, would you believe it, a lawsuit has been launched against Apple, saying that the display is almost unusable, it warps, and making a big song and dance about it. Now, these things often have a habit of not making it to court, but of course, because it's Apple, it's become a headline. So jelly scrolling once again has come back in and has made this big issue about, is it a thing? It really isn't. But anyway, just thought I should let you know that there is a lawsuit going on in California at the moment. So if you filed over there in California, good luck. And if you make a few quid, I believed you knew the whole way through. Let me know what happens, won't you? And don't forget, if you want to get in touch with me, you can do either through my website, where if you want to leave me your details, I'm doing a weekly members newsletter that goes out on a Sunday. So you can leave me your email address there. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can do it via DMs on Twitter, @talkingtech, or email me, which is david@talkingtechandaudio.com. This week, the New York Governor Attorney General Letitia James issued some consumer advice through a bulletin, and it was all to do with Apple's AirTags. Now, the advice she gave actually was very similar to the advice that Apple recently released. Apple have increased security around the AirTags since, yet again, more cases of misuse have come out about them. There was a model recently over in the States that found she had been tracked for days on end because somebody had slipped an AirTag into her bag. So the advice is kind of common sense. Be careful, be wary, check on your Find My device and look for AirTags that are near you. If you should find anything, make sure you get them disabled as quickly as possible. And always update your iOS operating system. Those are quick ways that you can make sure that you stay safe. There are some weird people out there that just have decided these tags are a way of tracking people rather than protecting us from our belongings that we're losing, wallets, keys, credit cards. And they've decided, no, it was more fun to try and track people. Who they are, I don't know. And there's even stories recently whereby you can buy AirTags that have got the speakers disabled so that there's no audible warning giving out. It's disgraceful and nefarious and never the way that these were intended to be used. Of course, there are plenty of other ways of tracking people with these kind of wireless Bluetooth devices, but because it's Apple, it makes headlines. So in New York, some consumer advice has been given out, but just be safe. Check if you've got daughters, mothers, or people that you care about, just check that on their devices they're not being followed, and do so yourself. But as I say, one of the main things to do is to keep your iOS operating system up to date. That way you've got a lot of peace of mind. Next up, we're talking about the Apple headset that was due to be launched, or at least revealed, at this year's WWDC event, which is always held in the summer. Well, according to Mark Gurman, it looks like that could be put back a whole year now to WWDC of 2023. I think when Apple released this, they want to do it at an in-person event. Although things are opening up at the moment, it still isn't quite where it needs to be for them. And it looks like this year's WWDC will still be a pre-recorded event behind closed doors. So assuming next year, there are open doors and people in attendance again, I think it seems set from everything we're learning that the headset will be launched then. What do we know about it at the moment? Well, it's going to have two Sony screens in it, both 4K and super high resolution, around about 3000 pixels per inch. You're going to have spatial audio and there's going to be surround audio, which is going to be surround sound audio coming via the headband, believe it or not. And the headband itself is going to be removable, similar to the Apple Watch sports band, that kind of design. Weight-wise, Apple are making sure to keep it very light, almost half the weight of the MetaQuest headset. It's going to come in at around about 200 grams, they hope. At the moment, it's 300 apparently, and they're trying to trim it down a little bit. It's going to have a completely curved design, mesh up against the face for a really immersive gaming experience. And we now know also, due to the fact that it was uploaded to the App Store logs, that it's going to have its own operating system as well. And it's going to be very heavily geared towards media consumption and gaming. So we know it's not going to be cheap. Somewhere between £2,000 and £3,000 seems to be the best bet. So if you're an avid gamer and an avid Mac fan, an Apple fan, I'm sure it's going to be something that you want to have. You're going to have to wait a little while longer yet. It doesn't seem like we're going to get it announced this year, but when it does come along, it looks like it's going to be absolutely sensational. The fact they've managed to get surround sound audio coming through the headband, I think, is fantastic. I've never been a gamer myself, but I would love to put one of those headsets on when they are finally available, just to see what they're like. I've heard it can make you feel quite nauseous if you're not used to it in the first instance. But still, I think it's going to be something really, really special. So that should be coming our way, probably not this year. And if it is, it's going to be late this year, but almost more certainly to be the summer of 2023. Displays. It looks like this year we are getting some displays, finally, affordable displays. Not long ago, I did see the Pro Display XDR, the 32-inch, and it is gorgeous. But of course, here in the UK, it does weigh in at around about, well, with the stand, £6,000, so it's not exactly affordable, but it seems that we are going to get two other displays coming along, plus a replacement for the 32-inch. So it looks like we are getting a 24-inch and a 27-inch monitor, which makes absolute sense, of course, because we've already got a 24-inch iMac, and I think we're getting the 27-inch iMac replacement this year. So they've got the framework, they've got the chassis, they'll have the panels. So they seem to be really sound ideas and a solid plan for consumer level monitors. And then there'll be the replacement for the 32-inch as well. They're all going to be 120 Hz refresh rate. And I don't know what the design cues are going to be at the moment. Are they going to mimic the current beautiful display? If you look at the back of that Pro Display XDR, it's almost retro and theatrical in its look. It's stunning. Now, whether the somewhat cheaper displays are going to mimic that, I doubt that. I would have thought they'll simplify them. And again, with the stand on the Pro Display XDR, it is a beautiful stand, but it costs £1,000. I'm sure for these more consumer level models, there'll be a simpler stand, but nonetheless, they'll be the kind of monitors that we've become accustomed to if you are a Mac user. They'll be 4 and 5K, they'll be Retina, they'll be beautiful, color accurate, And finally, we're going to have some Apple branded monitors to go along with our Mac Minis, which I'll come to in just a moment. Price-wise on these monitors, it looks like they're going to be starting at around about £1,500 to £2,000, and then going all the way up still, of course, for the largest one to around that same kind of price of £6,000, including the stand. And to go along hand in glove somewhat with the release of those monitors, it seems we are going to be getting 2 new Mac Minis this year. So Macs were registered with the Eurasian database this week, 2 of which were designated as desktop machines and 1 a laptop, which I might just mention in a moment. But the 2 desktops could very well be Mac Minis. What we're kind of expecting at the moment is that the current base level Mac Mini will get the new M2 chip, be one of the first Macs to have the M2 chip inside of it, and then we are thinking that there might be a Mac Mini Pro almost, which will have one of the M1 Max or M1 Pro chips inside of it and making it an absolute beast. The design is going to be somewhat different as well. They're talking about having bands around it, so it's almost kind of taking the aluminium band of the iPhone and giving it that kind of look and style. It's going to be a plexiglass top to it. All in all, it sounds like it's going to be absolutely gorgeous and powerful. More ports, quicker. Put that alongside Apple display as well that they're talking about releasing, as we just mentioned, and that really is quite the shopping basket you are going to have. It's one of the things that's put me off of getting a Mac Mini is I won't be able to have, until now, wouldn't have been able to have a display that I've been used to on Mac. Whereas now, with those new monitors and a super powerful Mac Mini, oh man, it sounds like it could be an expensive year for me. My dreams might come true. Let me know what you think of that in the comments below on this video, and also get in touch with me, David, at talkingtechandaudio.com. So 2 new Mac Minis are coming our way this year, we think, and of course those displays as well. Last year, there was only one person that leaked that we were going to be getting notches on the MacBooks, and that leaker is back again, this time saying that there's going to be a new entry-level 13-inch MacBook Pro. Yes, I know we only got MacBook Pros at the end of last year, which were met with all sorts of praise about their speed and how wonderful they were and the displays. Well, all of that's going. It's now going to be a more budget entry-level 13-inch MacBook Pro, still using the same chassis as the current one. It'll have the touch bar, and it won't have the 120 Hz display, refresh rate display that the current MacBooks have got. So it will be a stripped down version, less ports, just with the M2 chip inside of it. But nonetheless, it's going to be aimed more at an entry-level MacBook Pro. But as I say, the main difference would seem to be that it's going to have the M2 silicon inside of it. And finally, over in the States this week, 36 new patents were granted to Apple Inc., and 2 of them particularly caught my eye. One of those is being able to unlock your Mac with an Apple Watch, and the other was a redesigned, thinner edged display for the Apple Watch. Out of those 36 new patents that were granted this week, those 2 were of particular interest to me. So there you go, that's the Apple news I've got for you this week. If you want to hook up with me on Twitter, it's dtalkingtech. If you want to drop me an email, it's david at talkingtechandaudio.com. And if you want to leave some comments down below, I'd love to hear from you. And covering the points we've made in the video this week. I'd love to know what you think of the displays, of the Mac Minis, of the new patents, spatial audio. Let me know what you're using, what your thoughts are, and what you've heard that I might not have covered this week. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.